चिवर्णमाला क्षिप्तादपश्यमायुधामिमानम् ददानो अस्मा अमृतं विपृकृत् किं मामनिन्द्राः कृणवन् अनुकथाः क्षिप्तादपश्यं सनुतश्चरन्तं सुमयूथं न पुरुषोभमानम् नता अग्निभ्रन्नजनिष्ठहीशः बलिक्लीरिद्युवतयो भवन्ति
Mantras of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, O Lord, Thou art my refuge, my blessing, my strength, my health, my hope, and my courage. Thou art the supreme peace, unalloyed joy, perfect serenity. My whole being prostrates before Thee in a gratitude beyond measure and a ceaseless worship. And that worship goes up from my heart and my mind towards Thee like the pure smoke of incense of the perfumes of India. Let me be Thy herald among men, so that all who are ready may taste the beatitude that Thou grantest in Thy infinite mercy, and let Thy peace reign upon earth. With my love and blessings, says our Divine Mother. Words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo about rebirth and afterlife and rebirth. First, from Letters on Yoga, our Lord Sri Aurobindo talks about the process of rebirth and says, the soul that takes birth each time, and each time a mind, life and body are formed out of the materials of universal nature according to the soul's past evolution and its need for the future. When the body is dissolved, the vital goes into the vital plane and remains there for a time, but after a time the vital sheath disappears. The last to dissolve is the mental sheath. Finally, the soul or the psychic being retires into the psychic world to rest there till a new birth is closed. This is the general course for the ordinarily developed human beings. There are variations according to the nature of the individual and his development. The soul gathers the essential elements of its experiences in life and makes that its basis of growth in the evolution. When it turns to birth, it takes up with it its mind, vital, and physical sheets, so much of its karma as is useful to it in the new life for further experience. It is really for the vital part of the being that Shraddha and rites are done. To help the being to get rid of the vital vibrations which still attach to the earth or to the vital world so that it may pass quickly to its rest in the psychic peace, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo in the book Letters on Yoga Part 1.
Devant toi, qui a tant fait pour nous, toi qui as tant travaillé, lutté, souffert, espéré, enduré, toi qui as tout voulu, tout tenté,
Our Lord continues to tell about the process of rebirth. First point, our Lord says the psychic being stands behind mind, life, and body, supporting them. So also the psychic world is not one word in the scale like the mental, vital, or the physical worlds, but stands behind all these, and it is there that the souls evolving here retire for the time between life and life. If the psychic were only one principle in the rising order of body, life, and mind on a par with others, and placed somewhere in the scale on the same footing as the others, it could not be the soul of all the rest, the divine element making the evolution of the others possible and using them as instruments for a growth through cosmic experience towards the divine. So also, the psychic world cannot be one among the other worlds to which the evolutionary being goes for supraphysical experience. It is a plane where it retires into itself for rest, for a spiritual assimilation of what it has experienced, and for a replunging into its own fundamental consciousness and psychic nature. Second point, for the few who go out of the ignorance and enter into nirvana, there is no question of their going straight up into the higher worlds of manifestation. Nirvana or moksha is a liberated condition of the being, not a world. It is a withdrawal from the worlds and the manifestation. Third, the conditions of the souls that retire into the psychic world is entirely static. Each withdraws into himself and is not interacting with the others. When they come out of their trance, they are ready to go down into a new life. But meanwhile, they do not act upon the earth life. There are other beings, guardians of the psychic world, but they are concerned only with the psychic world itself and the return of the souls to reincarnation, not with the earth. Fourth point, a being of a psychic world cannot get fused into the soul of a human being on earth. What happens in some cases is that a very advanced psychic being sometimes sends down an emanation which resides in a human being and prepares it until it is ready for the psychic being itself to enter into the life. This happens when special work has to be done and the human vehicle prepared. Such a descent produces a remarkable change of a sudden character in the personality and the nature. Fifth point, usually a soul follows continuously the same line of sex. If there are shiftings of sex, it is as a rule a matter of facts of the personality which are not central. Sixth, as regards to the stage at which the soul entering for rebirth enters the new body, no rule can be laid down, for the circumstances vary with the individual. Some psychic beings enter into relation with the birth environment and the parents from the time of conception and determine the preparation of their personality and future in the embryo. Others join only at the time of delivery, others even later in the life, and in these cases it is some emanation. In these cases, it is some emanation of the psychic being which holds the life. It should be noted that the conditions of the future birth are determined fundamentally not during the stay in the psychic world, but at the time of the death. The psychic being then chooses what it should work out in the next terrestrial appearance, and the conditions arrange themselves accordingly. Note that the idea of rebirth and the circumstances of the new life as a reward or a punishment or a papa or a punya is a crude human idea of justice, which is quite unphilosophical, unspiritual, and distorts the true intention of life. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, life here is an evolution and the soul grows by experience, working out by it this or that in the nature. And if there is a suffering, it is for the purpose of that working out, not as a judgment inflicted by God or cosmic law on the errors or stumblings which are inevitable in ignorance, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo talks about the occult knowledge and says, the psychic does not give up the mental and other sheets apart from the physical immediately at death. It is said that it takes 3 years on the whole to get clear away from the zone of communicability with the earth, though there may be cases of slower or quicker passage. The psychic world does not communicate with earth, at any rate, not in that way. And the ghost or the spirit who turns up at scenes is not the psychic being. What comes through the medium is a mixture of the medium's subconscious, using the subconscious in the ordinary, not in the yogic sense, and that of the sitter's vital sheets left by the departed or perhaps occupied or used by some spirit or some vital being, the departed himself in his vital sheet, or else something assumed for the occasion. Elemental spirits of the lowest vital, physical world near the earth. A horrible confusion for the most part, a hodgepodge of all sorts of things coming through a medium of astral grey light and shadow. Many communicants seem to be people who have just gone across into a subtle world where they feel surrounded by an improved edition of earthly life and think that it is real and definitive other world after death. But it is a mere optimistic prolongation of the ideas and images and associations of the human plane. Hence, the next world as depicted as the spiritual guides and other saints communicants. The soul, the psychic being, says our Lord. The soul, the psychic being, once having reached the human consciousness, cannot go back into inferior animal consciousness any more than it go back into a tree or an insect. What is true is that some part of the vital energy or the formed instrumental consciousness or nature can or very frequently does so, if it is strongly attached to anything in the earthly life. This may account for some cases of immediate rebirth with full memory in the human forms also. Ordinarily, it is only by yogic development or by clairvoyance that the exact memory of past lives can be brought forward, says Lord Sri Aurobindo. Next topic, taken from the Life Divine, Rebirth and Other Worlds, Karma, the Soul and Immortality. Subtopic, What Survives After Death and Reincarnates. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo gives a brief description here and says, this conception of the person and personality, if accepted, must modify at the same time our current ideas about the immortality of the soul, for normally, when we insist on the soul's undying existence, what is meant is the survival after death of a definitive, unchanging personality which was and will always remain the same throughout eternity. It is the very imperfect, superficial I of the moment, evidently regarded by nature as a temporary form and not worth preservation, for which we demand the stupendous right to survival and immortality. But the demand is extravagant and cannot be conceded. The I of the moment can only merit survival if it consents to change, to be no longer itself but something else, greater, better, more luminous in knowledge, more molded in the image of the internal inner beauty, more and more progressive towards the divinity of the secret spirit. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, it is that secret spirit or divinity of life of the self in us which is imperishable. It is that secret spirit or a divinity of self in us which is imperishable because it is unborn and eternal. The psychic entity within, its representative, the spiritual individual in us, is the person that we are. But the I of this moment, the I of this life is only a formation, a temporary personality of this inner person. It is one step of the many steps of our evolutionary change, and it serves its true purpose only when we pass beyond it to a further step leading nearer to a higher degree of consciousness and being. It is the inner person that survives death, even as it pre exists before birth. For this constant survival is a rendering of the eternity of our timeless spirit into the terms of time, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Will continue.